Hello everyone, my name is Harjit Dhaliwal and I'm part of the Windows commercial team at Microsoft. Welcome to our new YouTube show, Tackling Tech, where we'll discuss the latest Microsoft innovations and how they can help you stay ahead of the game. We'll dive into specific capabilities of Windows 11, Windows 365, Microsoft Intune, and much more. We'll also provide insights and tips to help you streamline, simplify, and better secure your endpoints and be better prepared for the future of IT operations. So be sure to tune in and join us as we tackle tech together. And now, I'm excited to present our first episode, an in-depth interview with Roman Kleyn, Head of Workplace Design for Krones, based in Germany, where he shares how they moved to Windows 11 quickly, efficiently, and how they tackled Windows 11 security and more. Let's check it out. I'm in Neutralblink, Germany with our customers, Krones. With me is Roman Kleyn, the head of workplace design at Krones. I'm really excited to chat with you about Windows 11, so let's go do that.
That's gonna be fun. Let's
Cheers.
go.
I'd like to first start off by learning about Krones' upgrades from Windows 10 to 11. As you know, Windows 11 has some specific hardware requirements, right? DPM 2.0, 8-gen CPU, and higher, and 1 gig processor and higher and stuff like that. How did Krones embrace this change and why?
First of all, we were, I think, shocked like a lot of customers. We need to replace a couple of devices. But then we started thinking like, this is a fantastic chance for us to get the hardware upgraded from the security perspective, from the performance perspective, and at the end we were so happy to see that requirements because now we have a very, very good base of hardware, performance, and security where Windows 11 Enterprise brings the most value for us.
I see. So you saw this as a great opportunity rather than a challenge.
Right, exactly.
Right? You were like, hey, this is awesome.
Yeah.
We can get rid of our, very old legacy systems.
Exactly, right. Because, employees expect the operating system to run as efficient as possible.
Exactly.
So for us, it was also very important with that fresh UI of Windows 11 to have the best hardware for our employees.
So what about analytics tools? Like what did you use to figure out your hardware readiness for Windows 11?
Right, so the full beauty of the Intune suite. For example, we used endpoint analytics to dig into all the device readiness reports to see what hardware is compatible to be upgraded immediately, where we need to fix something, or where we need to replace some hardware.
Were there any other additional reporting mechanisms that you used to get really a deeper view of your device environment and architecture to find out, more details?
Right. Of course, Power BI gives us the very, very impressive ability to dig into all details we need. We are present in the whole world as Krones, and we have a centralized IT. So we want to know at which subsidiaries and places we need to replace our hardware. Therefore, we can create very detailed reports, even with beautiful maps, seeing how many devices needs to be replaced at that place in Asia, in the US. And it gives us the full flexibility to provide the same reports to our IT colleagues there in those subsidiaries so they can look as well what kind of devices are still there to be replaced. That's wonderful. And the data is already there in Intune, so we don't need to calculate or get the data from somewhere else. We can just use the connectors from Intune, get the data to Power BI, build up those beautiful reports by ourselves. We don't need anything else.
So it was a homegrown approach, and you built it from scratch.
Exactly.
And also this was very valuable for your leadership, I assume, so you could disclose your reporting structure and.
Exactly. We can provide management reports so they can focus on the key figures on how many devices already upgraded, how many devices left to be upgraded. So wonderful.
Okay, great, excellent. And how does your team in general test Windows 11 features or upgrades and things like that before actually you do it in production? Like, do you use like Windows insider builds, or do you have like a lab environment? What's your approach there?
We have a very simple and efficient approach for us. So we use the full beauty of the Windows Update service.
Okay.
We have set up our waves, and we want to adopt very fast to the newest version to keep everyone updated and secured and get used to the new features. So we start with testing in our own workplace design environment.
Okay.
With our employees from our department, but just for a couple of days. So after we see everything is fine, we start rolling out to our key users and to the whole fleet of our devices worldwide. And we have more than 23,000 devices here. And that works perfectly.
Perfectly. So your cadence was pretty quick, but you had a layered approach in terms of,
Right.
Start with a small test base, get some feedback, whether there's
Exactly.
any issues and things like that, and then you rolled it out widely across the globe.
And we are not afraid doing this because Intune provides us the necessary features to stop the update
Oh,
in
interesting.
case anything happens, or
Right.
roll back and check again on what is going wrong. So the full flexibility is there.
Full flexibility with Intune. That's right. That's right. You could put everything on hold and then approach it again.
Right.
Right. Reassess and move on. So speaking of that, what was your technical approach for moving to Windows 11? For example, did you do in-place upgrades? Did you do re-imaging? Did you start with brand new devices and things like that? What was that approach for Krones?
Right. The beauty of it is we don't do imaging anymore. So, and this is what I can recommend to everyone. Stop doing imaging. You don't need to do imaging because you can transform everything with Intune, with policies. Azure AD Join is there, so we definitely go with in-place upgrades. And this is also the reason we were able to upgrade all of our compatible hardware to Windows 11 in a very short time period. So we have upgraded more than 10K devices in less than 6 months.
With in-place upgrades?
With in-place upgrades.
Okay, and you treated it just like a regular update, like a...
Exactly, without disrupting any business. People just got their updates as a regular Windows update. The system rebooted, Windows 11 was there. So
wow.
that easy.
That's amazing. So no re-imaging, huh?
No.
No MDT?
No, don't do imaging. This is the beauty of Windows today. You have features like Autopilot. You have the full flexibility to get your device from any OEM you want, and you just set it up.
Yes.
You don't need that imaging stuff. You save time by people traveling to get their devices or whatever. They just get a new device, they log in, everything seems to be fine, cool.
Yeah,
They're
move
started.
on. Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, I assume you used Autopilot, right? Windows Autopilot for the majority of your new devices, for example.
Of course. So this is mission critical for us today as well. So we have a lot of service engineers traveling. We have a lot of people not being in the office due to hybrid work.
Right.
So we have the full flexibility with Autopilot and Azure AD Join to enable them set up their devices at any place in the world. They can do it in the office, they can do it at work, they can do it at a customer site. Even in the airport, they can set up the device.
Even in a cafe.
Right.
Anywhere.
All I need is an internet connection, that's it.
Right, that's all you need is an internet connection, really.
Exactly.
And you're good to go. What do you think about the cloud-first strategy? For example, do you think organizations should approach the management layer first, such as setting up Intune and then doing Windows 11, or do you think that doesn't matter?
I think it's important to focus on both things. So from my perspective, I think this cloud-first approach is highly critical for all customers in the world because in combination, Windows 11, Intune, Azure AD brings the full flexibility for you and your employees in the future. And you will love those features. Once you've got your stuff upgraded, once you've got moved your GPOs to Intune,
MDM,
you'll see the full flexibility of delivering policies, configurations at any time, any place in the world to your employees. No need for a VPN connection. You're just able to manage whole fleet everywhere in the world.
Okay, so I'm guessing here, and that Krones is all into Azure AD.
Right.
were you doing hybrid at some point? And how did you migrate from Active Directory to Azure AD? Can you speak a little bit about that?
Sure, of course. Yeah, for sure we were hybrid. Azure AD joined a couple of years ago, so when the journey started. At that time, our approach was to bring our devices to the cloud. Bring it to Azure, make it visible, bring it to Intune. So we started with that approach. And then we've learned the flexibility and the beauty of Azure AD Join.
Right.
And then we didn't think about how to migrate the hybrid devices. So what we did is we've just started providing new devices as Azure AD Join devices with the beauty of Autopilot in combination with Azure AD Join.
Okay.
All new devices from a specific date. We're going into this direction. Today, after a couple of years, the whole fleet is Azure AD Join. So we didn't take care of the hybrid Azure AD devices.
I see.
We focused on migrating our GPO environment. We had an Active Directory to Intune, but this was a great chance for us as well to review all the policies that were growing over years.
Right.
Does it fit in our strategy? So a great opportunity for us as well to have a clean base of security policies, configuration and feature policies being set up in Intune and get rid of GPOs.
Okay, excellent. All right, so speaking about GPOs to MDM policies, I assume, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you did not, here in Krones, bring in legacy policies, group policies into, so you decided to start from scratch, right?
Exactly, we started from scratch. We were reviewing, of course, our existing policies because we also didn't want to disrupt the business. So, however, we didn't want to implement the same. Right, so no lift and shift here. We were looking what we exactly need for a new employee who starts working here and gets a new device.
Right.
So we built everything up from scratch, and we were not looking how to migrate all the GPOs. We were looking at the modern policies.
The modern policies, what's available and stuff. Right. So you used group policy analytics to get a...
Of course, we used group policy analytics. It gives you a very good overview of what is your base inventory of policies, what you need to focus on. But from the other perspective, you shouldn't be afraid if you see a lot of things not being available or whatever, because as you know, all the customers have a very old-grown structure of group policies.
Yes.
So better start thinking, what do you really need? And
do we still need like these old things that have been going on for years and years? You never get rid of it.
Right, exactly. And that gave us also the opportunity to standardize. So we don't have policies like for this subsidiary this policy, for the other this policy. We have a standardized environment. We have a standardized set of policies. So it means if you set up a device here, it has this set of policies, and if you set up a device in the US, it looks the same way.
Right.
So, and this gives also our service desk and our support employees the opportunity and the ability to save time by doing support, because all the devices look the same. Everyone has the same policies, so
standardized, easier management. Your IT team is having a better approach and time to do other things instead of trying to figure out.
And it starts with the worklist design, but goes further to other departments here in the IT who build their solutions on our devices and our operating system strategy, which means if they deliver new features or new applications for the business, they know if that works here, that will work everywhere.
Work everywhere, exactly. So I'm going back to Azure AD approach. So, I hear from some IT professionals and IT pros around, all over the place. Some of them are struggling or maybe don't have the proper understanding on moving from hybrid to straight on Azure AD.
Yeah.
What's your advice about that? How should they approach that?
Just try it out. Just try it out. It was the same year, right? So over years, you got used to your Active Directory and your structures and everything you've been building up here. So, and at first, you're afraid losing all of this, and you're afraid, will that work, or how I'm gonna manage? But exactly the approach we were talking about, like, start doing it. Don't think about how to migrate. Start doing it. Is the best way because you don't have that much of devices, right? So if anything goes wrong, you can focus on a small set, and then your environment of Azure AD is growing and growing, and you will feel comfortable. So there is nothing you need to be afraid of.
And I think what I learned from you is that, start approaching it like don't try to shift everything over. Start with new devices.
Yeah, this is one of your best chances in the IT to start with a green field.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Now let's touch upon applications. How does Krones approach that? How do you provide applications and target applications to your people?
Right. So here at Krones, we provide applications kind of based Windows Store scenario. So people can order their applications in our software portal. And they get all their applications available in the company portal. So this is the beauty of Intune. So we can provide Win32 applications, store applications, all at the same place. And they can install, uninstall, whatever they need to do their job at the moment. So that's also integrating in that seamless process of enrolling the device. I have my applications assigned to my user, not my computer.
Right.
So that is the beauty that I can get my applications on any device, anytime, can uninstall, install anywhere, exactly. And the integration and Intune with Win32 and the store apps brings the full flexibility here as well.
Full flexibility.
Yeah.
What about line of business applications? How many do you have, and how are you approaching that?
Of course. Yeah, Krones is a machine building company.
Manufacturing company.
Manufacturing company. And of course, we have a big variety of very specific applications and tools we need for our business. So because we're building machines, we configure our machines. We have more than 1,000 LOB apps here.
1,000 LOB applications.
Right. 1,000 LOB applications, and all of them are very complex. However, we find a good scenario for us here at Krones how to ensure applications are compatible and stable. So we have a key user for each application, and our upgrade scenario for Windows is built up in that way that they receive the upgrades in one of the first waves. So those key users can test their applications if everything is working fine. And in case there is something not going that way like we expect, they can reach out. We can include Microsoft, we can include the software vendor, and get that fixed and sorted. So we can proceed with the upgrade pretty fast.
Right. And speaking of Microsoft, you obviously leverage the services that we have, such as Aperture and TestSpace and
Of course. I think these are important services for all the customers to ensure they have good stability of their applications. But what we see today is that applications also become more stable, and they become more used to the scenarios that we upgrade the operating system each month. We add new features, right? So
excellent.
That's very good, yeah.
Excellent. Now, end user readiness, right, is critical to any organization. How did you handle that here at Krones in terms of, hey, we're doing Windows 11, here's how you use it. Was there any challenges with that?
Yeah. So first of all, the funny thing is that people were waiting eagerly for Windows 11. There is nothing like we have to convince them to use Windows 11. They were asking when we can get our hands on that one. So,
they were ready. They were in line.
But the beauty comes with the easiness and intuitive design of Windows 11. So there is nearly no effort we need to spend from the IT perspective to teach users how to use Windows 11 because it's so intuitive and easy. There is nothing you can do wrong. What we can do, we can use that time and focus on teaching our people how to more efficiently use Microsoft tools and a modern collaboration
collaborative tools and things like that for communication and
But
stuff
we nearly
like that.
don't need to spend any time on teaching how to use the operating system.
Windows 11 was not a problem at all.
No.
It was, simple, easy. And it's pretty much the same, right? They had the same experience. The other question I have for you is, do your employees have more than one computer? And I know you're an E5 customer, so do you see what's the value that you find with for an E3 and E5 value for having more than one computer for your people?
We have different scenarios and different worker types here at Krones. So a regular office worker We have a smartphone and a Windows device. But we also have developers, we have production workers, and of course, our service engineers. And you need, in different scenarios, more than one device. But here is the beauty of Intune, of the E5 license. I need one single license to manage all of these devices. So I can manage up to 5 devices of one person. And that integrates seamlessly into the Intune suite.
Right, and also the flipping of assigning the E3 and E5 licenses, and it flips from Windows 11 Pro to...
Exactly, we are at the point of imaging again, right? So,
we're back to imaging.
Yeah. So
why image when you can assign the license?
Exactly, you can assign the license. It comes with Windows 11 Pro, but once they enroll the device, it's Windows 11 Enterprise. You have all your features there. There's nothing you have to do with imaging or doing a Windows 11 Enterprise image.
It makes so much sense,
yeah, these times are gone.
Right. Are you currently offering Windows 11 in a virtualized environment such as Windows 365? And what's the use case of if you're doing so?
Sure. Yeah, we are utilizing Windows 365 as a service, and we love it because we have, in our merging and acquisitions tasks we do, we acquire companies. So, and as you know, you'll find different IT environments there. From the other perspective, Krones has spent so many time to build up a very strong security here for our devices with conditional access, device status, and we don't want to lose this security. Right? So when we acquire a new company, they want to start collaborating with us, with our tools, utilize our licenses and advancements. So here, Windows 365 plays a crucial role for us.
I see.
We can provide standardized Krones machines, virtualized, in any Azure data center, in any location, with the best performance they need, so they can start using our services on a standard device of Krones virtualized, Windows 365, and we can do it immediately. We don't need to build up any data centers in that area or whatever. We just can start.
Right. So you have a quicker onboarding process of your mergers and acquisitions, and as well as while you're still figuring out how to onboard their physical devices.
Exactly. This gives us from the IT the time we need to get used to their environment they have. To see what we need to upgrade, what we need to replace. And we don't need to disrupt their business. So they can proceed working, we can take our time to make a good plan, how to migrate, how to upgrade. And meanwhile, they have a standard workplace, full security is there, and everything is fine.
Yeah, this is a great use case of Windows 365. Like, it's such a brilliant concept.
Exactly.
And it works just like your physical device, right? Windows 11.
Right. You have all your tools there, you're familiar with that device. It's the same Windows 11 like
you have applications, you have your security, you have your feasibility of the device.
Right.
This is wonderful. Roman, I'd like to get deeper and talk about Windows 11 security and how Krones handles that here. So I'm actually excited to speak with your colleagues to get a deeper insight into security here.
Right. I think you'll have a great discussion with Michael and Florian on these topics.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have more with Roman and his IT staff later in the season. So please like and subscribe to this channel and stay up to date on the latest episodes. Thank you for watching Tackling Tech. I hope you enjoyed this episode and learned something new. And if you have any feedback or suggestions for future episodes, please let us know in the comments below. You can also follow me on Twitter for more updates and behind-the-scenes fun at Tackling Tech. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.